All right, Algo, your people have arriveth.
Which one? Which channel?
Hang on a second, I'll tell you. Stand by, let me get rid of Buckethead. That's Buckethead's soothsayer. It's about to kick ass. Hold on a second. I love Buckethead. There you go. So everybody's here, or at least a few people. Let's see here. Shapnel's here. Crystal Shaman's here. Smurfer Girl's here. Some of my people are here too. So there's here's another one of your friends, Bill Stegman, and John Nelson, one of my people's over here. So looks like we're gonna have Billy Ray Valentine. Hey man, what's up, Billy? Are you am I coming on your show today, bro? I'm just putting you on the spot. Next thing you know, I'm gonna say, "Hey, Billy, you want to come on with us?" And Billy will go, whoop, disappear. No, sorry, Billy, you can't come on with us, but I'll be happy to come on with you a little bit later. So, there you go. So now, from this point forward, dude, you have the calm. Okay, this is your show. I'm just here, and we're just using the facility. To make it happen. But from now on, you're the one directing the show, not Jimmy. So you just go ahead and take her away, Algo.
Copy that, Jimmy Jean. So thank you for hosting all of our people. I got a little feedback. Do you have echo?
No, I don't. But I will.
Right on. Okay, you cleared it up right there. So, yeah, we do have everybody came over. Zoe Buttercup, Jemima Puddle Duck, The Rotman, Mile High Scribs, Chappelle, Crystal Shaman, Smurfer Girl, whatever. Everybody's here so we can get going. But a special thank you for using Jimmy's studio. Normally we don't crash other studios, but today we did. And as I explained a little earlier, we have a radio host named Jimmy Jean, who is a futurist. He is a student of mind and reality. From getting to know Jimmy, I know he's mastered the process of critical thinking. He uses pattern recognition and extrapolates to explain our current reality and where we're headed. So when we first got in this thing together about this Rh negative, it seemed to be a thing that is important, but is very, very little talked about. I did some research Friday and Saturday, and I will tell you what, you can find just about everything under the sun besides information about Rh negative. And Jimmy's going to play us a video here in a minute, but before we... Rh is a set of antigens expressed in the membrane of blood cells. There are 61 Rh antigens, but only 5 really mean anything according to how we use blood with transfusions, with organ issues, with birth issues. If a mother is Rh negative and a father is Rh positive, very often that mother's body will try to abort that baby. So there's something really interesting about the D antigen in Rh negative blood. Hemolytic disease is what they call it in the newborns. And they have, in the late 60s, they did develop a medicine that will stop that from happening. So it's something around the 40s is really all I could find where they started to understand when people had a transfusion, about 14 days later they'd get sick and die, because they either had negative blood type or they were given negative blood type. So for that to be such a factor in our human life and us not to know that much about it, it tells me there's probably more to the game. Go ahead, Jimmy. What do you got on us?
Yeah, there's way more to the game, obviously. And, so, the thing about it is when I talk about this particular subject, I always like to point to a particular movie, Clan of the Cave Bear. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I'm sure if it was a book, it probably wasn't a very good one because there's no dialogue in the movie. But basically, it's a movie about an orphan that's found by some tribes, and this orphan is a woman with light hair and light eyes, and she just appears out of nowhere into this tribe. And, they find her, they take her in, and as time goes by, She's really super smart. She's challenging the male figure in the tribe for supremacy because she invents a slingshot that she can use to kill animals. And so the thing is that when I saw that movie, it was really, striking in and of itself because these blonde-haired, blue-eyed people just appeared out of nowhere. So it's interesting, and then as time went on, I've come to find out that, of course, I'm Rh negative. And at the time that I originally had saw that movie, I really wasn't putting it together. And then as time went on, I started to find out more and more about the Rh negative blood type and some of the their special qualities that seem to be associated with people that have this blood type. And it's important for people who have Rh negative blood to know about what it is that their potential qualities that exist around the Rh negative blood types. High IQ is something, psychic ability is something, empathy, empathic abilities. Different types of every U.S. president since the inception of the United States, except for one, has been Rh negative. All the bloodlines of all the royal families around the world are all Rh negative. Even Barack H. Obama was Rh negative. So Rh negative doesn't necessarily mean you're a white person. So that's not what it means. But what tends to happen with it is that when you start to talk about the Rh negative subject matter, it immediately gets put into this white supremacist category and gets thrown down with that. And so that is not what we're talking about at all. But what we are talking about is a DNA strand that all of a sudden appeared on a planet that was filled with mostly brown people that were, living in a primitive state. And every single time one of these bloodlines people shows up in an area, you see immediate stair-step evolution. All of a sudden there's agriculture. All of a sudden, you're utilizing livestock to do the toil and this and that and the other thing. So it's such a deep and wide subject. And I have a piece here we could run, Algo. I just want to throw it back to you, but I have a piece here. It's about 7 minutes that we can run. And since we're on the channel here, I'll throw this up on the screen so everybody can see it. Let me see here. So go ahead, Algo.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, while you do that, Daryl Hannah played a really good part in Clan of the Cave Bear, by the way. I, too, am Rh negative blood type. And just a few more facts that they can kind of prove with Rh negatives. They're about 15% of the population. Definitely more prone to be affected by allergies, especially food allergies. We have a gifted natural resistance to HIV, smallpox, and bubonic plague, and probably the Novades. We do better at higher altitudes. Have a tendency to have piercing eyes, often blue-green or hazel, red to reddish hair, large cranium, high forehead, eyes mostly almond-shaped, and often freckles in a disproportionate percentage. So not only are there the esoteric qualities of empathy, intelligence possibly, but there are physical characteristics, and when you tie it back, it really goes down to the Basque area between France and Spain had the highest percentage of Rh negative population, disproportionately up to about 44%. So from 15 to 44 is a very big difference. Jimmy, you got something you want to play?
I do, and I also want to point out that they did some scraping off the Shroud of Turin. So if you believe the Shroud of Turin had anything to do with Jesus, then Jesus was also Rh negative. I'm trying to find this. I hope I didn't just close that window. Hold on.
I think we're good.
Yeah, no, I'm talking to myself here.
Copy that. So yeah, Crystal, I saw that about your pregnancies, and it's an elusive thing to really get a handle on unless you're a mother who is Rh negative. So,
well, here's another thing too, is that Rh negative people tend to be friends, find each other somehow. And a lot of people don't even know their blood types. And if you look back to some of the people that might have been really in your life, if you're Rh negative, chances are they were. Around some of these shows, a lot of people that are here, there's S90, what's up? Around some of these shows, we see a big congregation of a lot of people that listen to Kev Baker's show are Rh negative. A lot of folks that, hang out at this show are Rh negative. So there's something about our frequency and vibration that helps us find each other, even though a lot of us don't even know that we are Rh negative. All right, here, I'm going to roll this out. Here we go. Ready? Here we go.
Nestled in the mountains between France and Spain, there's a semi-isolated population of native European people that have long puzzled anthropologists, linguists, and historians because although they are Caucasoid, they do not fit in with the rest of the European population. Their language, for example, is distinctly unique in Europe and not related to any other Indo-European language. But that's not the only thing that's unique about the Basque. The Basque turned out to also be unique in terms of blood. Prior to the advent of genetic research tools, investigators used the ABO blood groups to study the relationships between human populations as well as their migration patterns. Each person's blood is one of four major types: A, B, AB, or O. Blood types are determined by the types of antigens on the blood cells. Antigens are proteins on the surface of blood cells that can cause a response from the immune system. The Rh factor is a type of protein on the surface of red blood cells. Most people are Rh positive. Those who do not have the Rh factor are Rh negative, which compromises about 15% of the world's population, but appears in much higher percentage among the Basque, which as a population contain among the highest levels of Rh negative blood in the world. The Basque people currently inhabit the area surrounding the Pyrenees Mountains, where Cro-Magnon man left behind some of his and her most famous artwork over 30,000 years ago. But exactly who are the Basque and where did they come from? I decided that a great place to find out is the University of Nevada, since it houses the Center for Basque Studies. This organization is primarily a research center that conducts and publishes on Basque-related topics such as anthropology, history, cultural studies, etc. Here's what they had to say about the Basque people and their origins, and this comes from their website's frequently asked questions. Question: where did the Basque come from? No one knows exactly where the Basque come from. Some say they have lived in the area since Cro-Magnon man first roamed Europe. Some say they are descended from the original Iberians. More fanciful theories exist as well. One is that the Basques are the descendants of the survivors of Atlantis. Question: where did the Basque language come from? Just as no one is sure about the origins of the Basques themselves, linguists are not in agreement over the origins of the Skara, the Basque language, either. When asked, I found that the majority of the Basque people themselves maintain that they came from Atlantica, a powerful maritime nation that sank into the Atlantic Ocean after a terrible cataclysm, and from which a few survivors reached the Bay of Biscay and the Pyrenees Mountains. This, they say, is not just mythology, but their true pre-European ancestry. There's another ancient people who claim racial lineage from the mythical Atlanteans. The Berbers are currently located geographically around Mount Atlas, but inhabit much of North Africa long before the Arabs arrived. The Berbers are considered the aboriginals of the area, and their origins beyond that are not officially known. Here we have a population, many of whom have blue eyes and light hair, living in northwest Africa of all places, and amongst some of the blonde tribes still living near the Atlas Mountains of Morocco, the percentage of Rh negative blood can reach 40%. Now keep in mind, that's not the general national average, but restricted to certain local tribes. Anthropologists, for the most part, dismissed them for many years because they didn't fit well with the out-of-Africa paradigm, so it was presumed that they had migrated from somewhere in Europe. However, that theory has been abandoned with the current understanding of genetics. Scientists now accept the genetic evidence that concludes Berbers are an indigenous people, which they believe are descended from native Upper Paleolithic Cro-Magnon types going straight back into the Pleistocene or Ice Age. This should make it easier to understand why the oldest remains found in Egypt, nicknamed Ginger, and currently on display in the British Museum, has naturally red hair. This is pre-dynastic, which means before the pharaohs and before the accepted dating of the pyramids. I can go on for quite some time about blonde and red-headed mummies and blue-eyed statues, but I'll save that for a future video on ancient Egypt. For now, let us turn to another population native to an island off of the African coast who also left mummies and pyramids. The Guanches were very tall, powerfully built, blonde and red-haired indigenous natives of the Canary Islands, specifically the island of Tenerife. To date, there is still no evidence that the Guanches had any knowledge of maritime technology, which begs the question, how did they get there? This isolation allowed the Guanche to maintain a racial exclusivity until the time of the Spanish conquest. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, 11th edition, concerning the ethnic origins and racial identity of the Canary Island Guanches, and I quote, "The Guanches are thought to have been of Cro-Magnon origin, with blue or gray eyes and blondish hair." Madame Blavatsky, foundress of the Theosophical Society, points out that the genetic relations between these three populations, well over 100 years before our modern understanding of DNA, and I quote, she says, "If then the Basque and Cro-Magnon cavemen are of the same race as the Canaries Guanches, it follows that the former are also allied to the Aborigines of America. The Atlantean affinities of the three types becomes patent." My name is Robert Sepper. I'm a formerly educated anthropologist and now author, and I'd like to invite you to explore some fascinating mysteries with me, which for the most part have eluded any serious consideration in mainstream academia. Species.
Well, there it goes. Now, I highly recommend this dude's work. He does work on a lot of things, not just this, but highly recommend Sepper's work. There you go.
What's the name of his channel there, Jimmy?
It is here. I'll drop it in there. It's just Robert Sepper. So it's Robert Sepper, and I'll drop the link in the chat for everybody. Yeah. So go ahead.
Well, I tell you, yeah, the collaboration is always the best part of what the digital realm can bring us, in spite of all the stuff it can bring us that is not so good. But I'll tell you, so you got some theories, I'm guessing, from hearing you a little bit. You got some idea where the Basque and the Rh negative people came from?
Well, I would put forward that I think this definitely has something to do with, Atlantis and the peoples of Atlantis. Whether or not, as far as the Basque people are concerned, they all came from somewhere. And the thing about it is, what's really interesting is most of the blood in Egypt at this particular time has no lineage back to the pharaohs. But what's interesting is the bloodline that does, it goes directly to the Queen of England.
Got it.
So most of the people in Egypt now are not of these bloodlines that were originally there, and so these red-haired giants keep popping up. I mean, the other day we were talking on Kev Baker about Mancorn and them opening up, a portal that brought in these red-haired giants that were eating the people in the village or whatever. So, these red-haired giants keep popping up, all over the place, in these inexplicable places where nobody knows where they came from. So it's apparent to me that this whole bloodline is really from not, to me, I'm saying my idea about it is that it was introduced here. That somehow this Rh negative got here, and then once it was here, the people that are of that bloodline, excelled in all that they did and everywhere that they showed up. And, there's lots of different, the Hyksos are some peoples that, were wandering for a while. Nobody really knows where they came from. Some of these, priests of the temple, same thing. They got red hair, just like they were pointing out to the oldest mummy that they found, Ginger. She's got red hair, and this right. And they said it dated back before the pharaohs, which also proves that the pharaohs didn't build the pyramids, right? So the pyramids were there. They just sort of assimilated to them because there was some peoples left over who knew about the technology, and they were the priests of the temple, and those people were initiated and taught, what was going on there by, Hermes Trismegistus, or Thoth was the original, Thoth the Atlantine, right?
Right.
And so, also that bloodline seems to be Rh negative back to Atlantis for some reason, if Atlantis did in fact exist, which I do think it did.
Lots of evidence that it did, and lots of architectural structures carried through and carried out. And now that we're in this digital age, there are a lot of people doing a lot of looking for them, finding them in places such as Telluride, Colorado, the parts of Nevada where you wouldn't expect architecture that could be traced or linked or inspired by Atlantean architecture. I think what's interesting, there is a train of thought out there that because the altitude of the Pyramids, the Basque people went there when other people were not able to find land. Kind of in a Waterworld movie kind of way. And they just kind of hung out there for so long waiting for the rest of the world to catch back up, and then they started spreading around. It is interesting to me that when you trace that bloodline, or blood type, not bloodline, blood type, to the presidents, to the crown, it also means there's a double-edged sword to that Rh negative blood, in the way that if you were environmentalized around psychopaths, you may have a propensity or a real easy ability because of intelligence and maybe some psychic type abilities to really control a population without them knowing for a very, very long time. Do you think that's goes along hand in hand with that?
I 100% agree with it. That's one of the biggest issues and one of the reasons why they want to keep Rh negative people from grouping together. They want to keep us out here, the regular Joes out here, Rh negatives. They want to keep us away from each other because the ones that know about this are in groups, and their group activity, because of who they are and what that bloodline represents, and what DNA comes along with you, what you're vibrating at, and your abilities and capabilities to get together as a group, Rh negatives could change the whole world. So I'm involved in a couple Rh negative groups on Facebook. I haven't really been around there too much lately. But, a lot of those people have problems. They have troubles in their lives. For some reason, Rh negative people, they do everything. When I say they, I just mean the powers that be in whatever situation you're in. So if you get fired, You know, you lose your job, that kind of thing, or constantly, you know, being in situations, you know, or you go up somewhere. It's not like, you know, they know where every single Rh negative person is. You guys realize that, right? They keep track of people who have Rh negative blood, and so within that pie, within the Rh negative pie, there's also slivers of that pie. So there's only so many people are this, and so many people are that. So I mean, would you share your blood type? Do you know?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm B negative.
Okay, so I'm AB negative.
Okay.
So I'm in the 1 percentile of the Rh negatives blood people that have it out of the full on people, all the total amount of people. 1% of them are AB negative.
Right.
So, you know, and so I don't know if there's different, and somebody should do some research on this. I think it'd be an interesting topic, is to find out and take and separate out each of these blood types and find out what abilities that they have. For example, I'm a high functioning empath, and so I have an issue a lot of times because when I go somewhere, I whatever's going on, you know, whatever's
sucks right into you, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't suck right into me, but I immediately resonate with it when I come into the room. It's like I'm a tuning fork, you know, and it's like I come in and I immediately resonate with whatever tone is going on in there, and that physically affects me. So I can't deal with people sitting around all pissed off and being angry and stuff, you know, or coming in to see. I mean, it's just it's mentally tiring for me to sit there and have to mentally fend it off, you know, the energetics. So it's you know, either way, either I sit there and I fight it off, or I go there and I absorb it. Both things suck my energy out.
Right.
So I'd rather just not even get involved, man. I mean, I'd rather just stay to myself. I stay to myself a lot, pretty much, you know. But I mean, not that I don't like being with people. I'll hang with people all day long. You know, I mean, it's just a vibe, man. You know, I'm not interested in any of the bullshit, man. I'm interested in, you know, in perpetuating something good from the moment I'm here. You know what I mean? And then we'll see where it goes. You know, I do the best I can to, you know, not focus on, you know, negative shit, man, because of the way that we have the ability to, you know, create reality for ourselves in any given moment. So I'm trying to stay neutral, not, you know, but that's my particular thing anyways, is I'm empathic. I'm also psychic, and I'll talk about it. You know, if I know something, I usually just say it. I don't say I predict this. I just say what I already intrinsically know and feel about something. So
Right.
I don't make a big deal that I'm making a psychic prediction. It's just if you look back over time, you can see a lot of the shit that I said happened. So
Oh yeah, it does, and that's part of what really resonated when the first couple times I heard you. I heard one of your videos before I heard you with Kev Baker, and I'd already been listening to Kev. So when those two clicked together, I'm like, yeah, I got to dial in a little harder on this guy because he's got something to say, and the accuracy is really startling for most people. But I want to go back to what you were saying. Us just Joe Blows out there who are Rh negative, clearly they know where we are from any medical procedures you ever had or from birth even. Do they just, you know, if we stay apart, we're good and they'll leave us be, but if we start to congregate and start to make waves, do they pay a little closer attention? Do you have any information on that?
I say yes, they do. I'll tell you about that too, but you need to give me a minute because I need to blow some ancient smokes.
Hey, you're good. Take your time. I'll talk with the crowd. Or you could play a song, either way. But, yeah, and I've seen a couple people in the chat are definitely Rh negative people and are concurring with the characteristics we're talking about.
Yeah, well, Crunchy B says they wish they could create their own reality, but you are creating your own reality. Whatever your reality is right now, it's doing it right there. It's not anything weird or secret. It's just like in your moment, you get to create your reality in every moment. It's like some fucker gets smart with me down at the store, okay? I could jump on his head and beat the shit out of him right now. Or I could just say, yeah, whatever, man, and walk outside. It's always up to me. You know, my reality could change that minute just because, you know, the prisons are full of people that were emotional for just 1 second. You know, they made a mistake that they could never undo. So that's what I mean. Yeah, I mean, on a flowery basis, can you create your own reality that way? I mean, can you like think yourself into some beautiful situation that you can only dream about? Fuck yes, you can. You can create whatever reality you want. And you know what? That means that you got to utilize every single day and every single minute moving closer and closer to that reality that you want to create. Because it's not going to create itself.
Right. Well said. Well said. And they kind of tricked us into a simple word, the English language being mind magic. They tricked us into saying choice. You have the choice to either kick that guy's ass or walk out with smiling and say, have a nice day, buddy. It's the same thing. You are creating that moment, how you respond, what you're going to choose. Then I think you said it very well, but when they call it just a choice, it seems so small and nothing. And it's way more powerful than that.
No, it is, because the thing is it's this thing called the power of now, because it's this moment is all we really have, right? I mean, every day, you know, each moment that you're there, I mean, it could be your last moment, man, literally. And I mean, you don't have to get weird about it, but I'm just saying, when you realize that, hey, man, at some point in your life, you're going to realize, you know what, man, I only have so much time. You only get so much time. How much time you get, you don't know. But you know what? You can't waste a minute at a time. You know what I mean? Because especially if you're RH negative and you got certain kind of skills or sets or your ways to help people. See, this is where I think mankind fell from grace personally. Because I think RH negative people were never supposed to be here and use their abilities to be rich or to rule over anyone. I think that they were put here originally to be the teachers and to be the people to spread the knowledge so that man could evolve correctly. And I think there was a group of these RH negative people that decided they wanted to use that power to control and to rule over. And that, to me, is the original sin.
That's a pretty big fall. When you were designed to come to serve, and then you instead flipped the script and said, you know what? Instead of serving these guys, I'll just be in charge of them and make them do my bidding and give all their labors to me. Yeah, that's a pretty big fall from grace, Jimmy.
Yeah, man. So, listen, I'll tell you, I want to bring a personal story to the table because it's relevant.
Love to hear it.
So a couple years ago, I got this buddy, and he was speaking down at Contact in the Desert. So he's gonna be selling books and stuff and doing lectures, and so I went down there with him to help him out, and I was just gonna go down, help him out, and hang out or whatever, sell books while he was off doing his thing, and then when he came back, I'd cruise out and go, around the thing or whatever. So I was there, and the first day, and I was at the book table, and this dude was a publisher, and he published a lot of people's books. One of the books he published was Leo Zagami's book. And so I had a lot of people coming up, and wanting to buy books from me that want to get Leo Zagami's book. He sold out all his books, mostly ladies. For some reason, I don't know. I'm just reporting the demographics. So anyway, yeah. So I'm standing there all day, talking to people and stuff, and I started to notice this overwhelming amount of people with green eyes and blue eyes and light hair, red hair. Started to notice it. Okay, and so then while I was standing at the table, when someone would cruise up and I was talking to them about book stuff and they had light eyes, I started asking them. So, hey man, I told them what I just told you. I said, I noticed a bunch of people here. I said, are you RH negative? And I started getting a lot of yeses, and I think it was like 8 out of the 10 people I asked said yes. And then I realized where I was in that moment. So for me, I came to the realization that what this was a meeting place and a calling place where all these RH negatives met up, and it had nothing to do with contact in the desert, and everything to do with having all these RH negative people show up in this area, in this place, you know. And there was a lot of powerful psychic people there. You know, I was talking with a girl outside having a cigarette with this English girl. She's a psychic, and she was RH negative, and she knew me because I was on the Kev Baker show, so we were bullshitting and talking outside having a cigarette. And I was telling her about something that I wanted to do, you know? And we were laughing and stuff, and it's like, man, you know, it's funny, we're just going to create our own reality right now. And I swear to God, the next 10 minutes, I bumped into some guy. I was riding my Segway into the thing, you know, because I ride a Segway. Mini, you know, it's not those giant kinds that you just stand on it. So I'm riding it in there, and some dude goes, hey, oh, woo, woo. He said, where'd you get that, man? And I started bullshitting with this dude for about 10 minutes, and he had like this bodyguard with him. The dude was like a Himalayan dude. He was like a super tall, dark skinned, you know, bodyguard dude. And he goes, I go, yeah, man, I'm about to start a company, man, selling these. He goes, really? He goes, well, how much do you need?
Nice.
And I go, I don't know, about 10 grand. He goes, hey, man, I'll be down here later on. Why don't you come down and see me later or whatever, you know? And it was funny. Okay, the dude never materialized. Okay, he was full of shit or whatever, but it doesn't matter. The point was that we were just talking about that outside, and it had the potential to have I actually created my own reality had I followed up with that dude and went down there. You know, I mean, I just didn't believe what he was saying, so I didn't, like I said, follow through with it. But let me keep up with this telling you this now. So there was an overwhelming amount of people there, and I had this one lady come up to me, and I actually confronted oh man, what's her name? I can't think of this chick's name. Something Eisenhower. Laura Eisenhower.
Okay,
you know who that is?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right, so I was on the air with Laura Eisenhower once, and recently. And so I had met this woman at this conference, okay? And so she also had light eyes, right? She was an older woman. You know what I mean? Sturdy-looking woman, you know, kind of leathery. I mean, she was old, but she had these piercing eyes, you know, so I asked her. And she said she was. And then she said, you know, I'm really sick and tired of Laura Eisenhower bad-mouthing reptilians and telling lies.
Whoa.
I know, I was like, what? And she gave me her phone number. I had this whole folder with all these phone numbers of everybody that I met there, and it's gone. But you know, that's another story. But point is, this lady was a trip, and I brought that up with Laura. I said, yeah, I met this lady. She said she didn't really like the way you were talking about reptilians. You know, she didn't have anything to really say about it. As a matter of fact, I think that shit is on here somewhere. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Laura Eisenhower is probably RH negative.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, how many of these mind-controlled slaves are RH negative?
Right. Well, I tell you, that's an interesting. When you told that story, it reminded me. I had a sprinkler business for 5 years, and I worked by myself. Then about year 2, I started noticing, why do I have so many blue-eyed and green-eyed customers? Because the percentage compared to the population is very small. And in Colorado, you know, we're like 30% Hispanic, and people come from all over, so there's no Colorado thing that we should be clued into. So I started making a log. And every time I had a customer, and then I had their blue, green, or other. I didn't even get into brown and hazel, whatever. And about over a 3-year period, about 35% of my client base were blue-eyed, and about 7% were green-eyed. And it was kind of a surprising thing to me.
That is just a wow.
And they were random. They contacted me. I didn't go seek it. I didn't go to job
That's what
fairs.
I mean. That's what I think. I think that Rh negative people, I think their DNA vibrates at a frequency that we notice each other for some reason. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, most people won't put two and two together. They won't figure out that this blood type. But it is. I mean, there's a stupid little book you can buy at the grocery store. It's called Eating for Your Blood Type. It's like a diet book.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a diet book, but it's interesting in its concept in that at each period of time when these O and O negative, these blood types, each one of these other kind of blood types that are not Rh negative, whenever they arrived, there was a certain type of food that was being eaten at the time. In other words, when the blood type O showed up, they were eating, grass and this and that and the other thing. And so if you can harmonize what was being eaten at the time that these blood types showed up as the food with yourself, that you come into this harmony. You get this really, and the reason I'm even bringing it up is not because I believe in it as a diet, but I went in there and I did the blood type diet according to what it was in there for me. And one of the things that I was supposed to eat was lamb. I mean, I don't eat lamb too good, too much or whatever, but I noticed when I put that into my diet and I started, eating the things that it was recommending, I personally just felt better. Right. Everything felt better. My stomach, everything just. So for whatever reason, it's like you could buy it for like $1.99 or something like that. You probably even find it on the internet at this point.
Oh yeah, I do remember when they came out, and the people took it in the way. You remember when Jim Fixx wrote his jogging novel, and It was a craze for about a month, and then it was the same kind of thing. That was a real faddish book at the time.
Yeah.
But I agree. I'll tell you what, I do a lot to eat what they recommend for my blood type, and I feel better. I have more energy. I don't need as much sleep as if I didn't. And so there's definitely something to that. So let's go this way. Let me ask you. Clearly, there is a suppression around not only the information, but the ability, the impact on this world that we maybe could be having or could not be having or would stop having. Do you think there's a way around that? Can you and I dig deep enough and get far enough and spread, or is this just a great first step to try to not only raise awareness for people that don't know about this, but maybe kind of put that vibe out there so we can kind of start heading in a different direction?
Well, it's an intense subject, man. I know there's a woman that I know of who's part of that group I was telling you about earlier. And she is literally, she's really into this Morgellons thing.
Uh-huh.
And she's really into nanotechnology and all this stuff. And she's it's gone to the point where it's out of control, in my opinion. She's gone not to say that she doesn't have good reason to do that. Okay, but the thing is what she found was that women, Rh negative women from a certain age group seem to have gotten hit with this Morgellons shit where the shit starts crawling out of your skin. She did a research on it. And what she was trying to say was that the Rh negative blood type was expelling those nanoparticles out. And so if you believe that they would kill, the Georgia Guidestones, trust the plan. If you think you're going to kill everybody but 500 million people, chances are people in power, the ones that are directing this shit to be done, are probably Rh negative. So whatever is being made, usually, I would say would be Rh negatives will be not going to get that, just because the elite don't want to get it. So
right, that makes sense.
Right. So but that doesn't mean it's the same in all cases, and it's not, it's not across the board. But you get my drift. Right. So, I don't know,
well,
man.
Jimmy, I could tell you, buddy. The ChemLung, and they spray Colorado all the time, and the water stuff in the water doesn't bother me. The weird thing to me is like vitamin supplements and all that stuff, and even medicines the doctors give me. Benadryl doesn't make me sleepy. Vitamins don't really make me feel better, no matter how much I take or for how long. I took vitamin C for 5 years every day. Didn't notice a dang bit of difference. So I wonder if that would be the reverse of the Morgellons, right?
Could be. I mean, I'm not sure. The thing about it is that this lung thing is not, it's like, everybody's got it too. That's the thing. And some people can't expel that stuff out of their lungs. Right. Some people just drowned, in it. And especially, when you start taking a look at some of these methods of using nanoparticulates to grab water out of the air, what happens is they expand these particles. As soon as they get wet, they fluff up and expand. Mm-hmm. And they hold water, and that's how they get these rain and stuff to start. The thing is, if you're breathing that in, man, it's sucking the water, out of your body inside of your lungs, and forming this mucus. A lot of people can't even cough out. It's almost like epoxy or something.
Jamming cotton balls into your lungs.
It's like plastic. I mean, literally, you spit it out. It has no color. It's not like it's coming out of you because you got an infection. It's just that it's clear or it's whitish when it comes out, and expelling those chemicals out of you. I don't know, man. The thing about it is, it'd be great if millions of Rh negatives could come together. And I'm not saying that other people. I'm not saying, the thing is too, by talking about this the way that we are. I don't want it to be insinuating that we think that there's anybody special, Rh negative or whatever. One man is no different than another man as far as his blood type goes. I could be smart and you don't know what my Rh negative status is. I'm just a guy. Right. I'm just a guy that, whatever. So, there's nothing to say that one is better. But what I am saying is, if you start to look at, for example, look at the Colburn Bible, and you look at the creation story in the Colburn Bible, and you start to think about some of this that's gone on, you can see that it looks clear that, that they're talking about, bringing a new being here, with a new DNA and everything for here, and creating a female being just for that other being, and then laying out rules about the people that lived here and what you weren't supposed to do,
And that's called the Colburn Bible?
Yeah, well, it's called the Colburn Bible. It's not actually a Bible, but it's Kolbrin, the Colburn. And
okay.
And just look at the creation story in there. And it's written in a language that people of high technology would understand. So it's not written in Bible parable form where you try to, make something up out of whatever you read. It's supposed to mean this and supposed to mean that. This is pretty much point blank the way it is, So if you look at that and then you combine that with the Emerald Tablets, and you see the two pieces of information, you can see clearly, dude, that, beings came here from someplace else or were created specifically for this place, or put here for, like I said earlier, for teaching purposes. And, for, that's what I mean, is like the society of Atlantis was completely and utterly different than the society that we're living in now.
Right. Well, yeah, and just to follow up with what you said, different does not mean better. So if Rh negatives have different characteristics, they also have different responsibilities, different abilities, and different things that will trip them up, which clearly from the abuse of power within that blood type, that's been a big stumbling block for Rh negatives. It's not about better at all.
And that's the thing about it is, too, man, is that if you are giving to society and you are teaching people and using your abilities like you were put here to do, then all those same things would be afforded to you. You would have the riches that you sought, in the fact that people would be bestowing on you things because of your goodness, because of what you've done, because you would have no wanting. You would have everything that you could ever want or desire as a person on the earth who's giving to the whole of the earth and society, and teaching and wanting to bring people along and let people evolve naturally, and let the spirituality of the world evolve. But like I was talking about the other day on a conversation with some people on air, we've been compartmentalized in to these different compartments, and it's taken us away from the original thing that we had here. And there is no separation between religion and work, or spiritual practice and work. When you're working, it's a spiritual practice. When you're walking down the street, it's a spiritual practice. When you're sitting by the lake, it's a spiritual practice. There is no moment when you're not yourself being a being on the earth. You know what I mean? So, to take that special thing that you may have and use it as a weapon to control the rest of the people, compartmentalize them, and social engineer them into their spirituality, rather than letting the earth evolve the way it should. If the earth evolved naturally, we'd be where we're supposed to be right now.
Oh, and then some, I bet. Yeah.
Right, because they stunted our growth with social engineering by compartmentalizing us. You're a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're a Jew. You worship over here in this house, and you worship over there in that house, and these houses are all energy extraction mechanisms. They're focal points for people that want to suck the loosh right out of you. And that's why they got everybody in one little room, everybody's singing and praying, and the energy is flying, and the dude's up there with the black sucking it all in. And he's got a little white thing right there on his throat. Why? Because that's where the energy's going out, because he's talking to you. The energy's coming in. Black sucks energy in, see? That's why people wear black. I wear black because I'm comfortable in it. That's what Johnny Cash said.
Did we lose you, Jimmy, or did you lose me?
I'm still here. I didn't think you disappeared. Did you go? I don't know what happened. We're still here on YouTube, though.
Right on. Good. Yeah, I don't know what happened there either. That was strange. I lost you with the black sucking the energy in.
Yeah, I just said, that's why, that's where the black sucks energy in, and the little white patch over your throat, because he's speaking, they want energy to come out. So when you wear white throws energy out, black sucks energy in. So when you have everybody in this room all praying and singing and generating this energy, the priest who's standing there in black is sucking all the energy in. It's a it's a rude representation of what I'm talking about. But now, imagine that same scenario I'm talking about. Imagine that there was a big white beam blasting out of the ceiling of whatever building we're standing in, and there's somebody that's harvesting that energy out of that. And those are the magical powers that we're talking about as far as these initiatory secret societies, these societies that everybody talks about. These are the ones that are sitting over, sucking the loosh out of everybody that they've created with the social engineering.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And if people can't see that, couldn't see that before, 2020 sure was a pretty good example, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that thing that happened on January 6th is a really perfect example. A bunch of people went there. They really wanted to just display themselves and say that, they were unhappy with the way things were going, and they took it and turned it around and used it as a battering ram. Some bad people took control of it, and, they sucked the energy right out of it. And then
it's going to reverberate through the rest of society. Now that we have a label we can put on somebody, we can make it apply to just about anybody we say it does under color of law. and crack down on people that really don't belong being cracked down on.
No. Well, the other thing is too now, here's get ready for the sandbag of hypocrisy, because just remember, man, when you talk shit, the next thing's gonna happen. You're gonna eat a shit sandwich, and so everybody was okay with when they didn't like Muslims because Muslims apparently attacked our country. They didn't like Muslims, so they thought it was okay to have people waterboarded and people NDA'd away into these secret prisons inside of prisons and all these black sites where they were torturing people and snatching Muslim people out of their houses. Well, guess what? You were okay with that, so guess what happens to you? Yeah. Now that's going to be turned around on you and everybody who didn't have a problem with it. That's the shit sandwich. They're going to call you the terrorist. They're going to take the whole apparatus and turn it back around. And everything that you said to others about the situation, like remember, I don't mean you. I'm talking in general.
Yeah. Of course.
People, when Trump won, a lot of people on the right were really smug and cruel to people on the left who were upset about their person not winning. And it's exactly the same situation right now. Right. Exactly the same situation right now. And I don't see any humbling or any. All I see now is the attack is even growing stronger. And all these allegations are being made against people, this side and that side and all this is such bullshit. It's really, people don't understand people really don't even understand what's going on. Antifa and these other groups, they didn't stop doing what they were doing just because Biden got elected. They're still doing it.
Yep.
They're still burning shit down. They still don't want the government. So it's not about Biden for them. People think it is. It's not. That's not Biden's army, dude. But those other groups, especially Antifa, because there isn't a more fascist motherfucker on the face of the earth than Joe Biden. If there was, when you look up fascist in the dictionary, there should be a picture of Joe Biden, because fascism and corporatism, in some ways when it's set up is a direct, mixing of the government with corporations.
Right.
And so, we're in bed with corporations right now, with this vaccine thing. So, anyhow.
Well, not only with the vaccine thing, but with the food supply, with the hardware supply. Try to go to a mom and pop hardware in any major city. They're just about gone. Try to get a nice Mexican little food thing from a place that has 25% capacity and you got to put a mask on at the door, or drive through Taco Bell owned by Yum Brands. I mean, it's very clear what the whole agenda to this is, but what it does lead me to want to ask you, if we can clearly see what it is the powers who should not be are doing, and as an RH positive person who can listen to this and say, well, I don't have any of those characteristics, it doesn't matter. You can still take steps. You can still make actions. You can still create your reality in a way that humanity on the whole doesn't have to fall down the trap of the great Klaus Schwab reset, do they?
No. And the thing is, too, is I'm fulfilling my thing. All I'm trying to do is teach people about what's going on. Okay? Do with it what you will. I'm fulfilling I'm utilizing what I feel was given to me by having this extra stuff that I have because of the blood type that I am. Mm-hmm. If that in fact is true, it doesn't even matter. If I'm just who I am, I'm happy to use my what I have to help teach people what's going on and have a good time at the same time. It's like, I'm just looking at it and assessing it, and I'm using my abilities, and I try to let people have what I see. So what I'm saying is I'm still staying with I'm not with the original sin. In other words, I'm still, even though I'm just by myself and I'm RH negative, you were asking me what we can do. Well, there's what you can do. You can use your abilities to teach the world about stuff so that you can make it a better place. And that doesn't mean the whole world. It just means your world. Anywhere you can, be a teacher, man. That's all I got to say about that, man. I think we're, we got skills, and, you don't have to use them to get rich. You can use them to make people's lives better by just saying some shit that you see. Empathically, I used to be able, when I was at the hot springs, it'd be like somebody's emotional problem was over their head with a white badge over their head telling me exactly what was wrong with them. It's like, everybody's got something, so do what you can. That's what I do. If I bump into it and I can help fix it, I try.
Yeah, and couldn't ask for a better mantra to live by. And you do too. You're on like 5 radio outlets. You do shows almost every day, virtually, whether you're with Kev Baker or you're with someone else in the morning, or Jimmy's all over the place. And the links will be at the end of this video. I highly suggest you take some time, sit down, listen to what the man has to say, because if you've caught any of this already, you can, for one, hear that he's coming from a very clear, non-egoic place, just that place inside of a man, and you can feel that when you hear him speak. So, for one, I totally appreciate why I follow. And the other part is, it doesn't matter what skills you have. If you're willing to use them for others, we can all make this place the way we want it to be.
Mm-hmm. There's this thing where there's this table laid out, and it's a long table, and it has all the best food available to everybody, all cooked there. It's the most beautiful meal, and there's people sitting in chairs on either side of the table, and they're all sitting there, and there's thousands of them, and this is a giant party. The only thing wrong is that the utensils are too big. They can't use their utensils. The only way they can use them is if they realize and figure out the only way to use these utensils, because they're so big, is you have to feed the person across from you on the table. And then they feed you with their giant fork. And if you help feed each other, everybody eats. And if you want to be selfish, you'll starve because you can't use those utensils to eat.
Excellent story. Can I ask you something, and you may or may not know? I'd be wagering that you probably have indigenous First Nation blood in your family background?
Nope. I'm Irish.
Okay, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, I go all back to the 13th century Ireland.
Yeah, the Irish clan, same thing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, good. Did you miss anything on RH Negative that you wanted to share?
Not really. I think we did a good job. I mean, next time we do one of these, what I can do is I can try to get together some people that I know that may be able to stop in and and share some of what they have to offer. I've been up under the house for all weekend, so I mean I'm not 100% cracking on all 8 cylinders or whatever. So.
Well, I think then you have 12 because you hit all 8, buddy. The only reason I ask you is I know you have another show in about 15 minutes, and I want you to be able to be settled and cool and smooth. And
I got you. Well, I sent him a message. I haven't heard back, so I'm not real sure, but I am ready to go, man. I really need to get something to drink and.
Yeah, for sure. This is great.
Yeah, so what we'll do is as soon as this video is over, everybody, what we're going to do is make it private. And then I'm going to pass it on over to Algo, and then he's going to upload it to his channel. So you guys will be able to find... hey, what's up, Drone Free? You guys will be able to find the show over on Algo's channel. So you got Long Reach is over there, Chappelle... Brenda, Mile High, John. Let's see who else is over there. John, Zoe, Bill Stegman's over there. Malaya's over there. Hang on, I'm still rolling. I'm just adding these guys in here. Let's see who else. Jem is over there. Looks like Kenny stopped by. It's evil, man. S90. Regular girls there. Long Reach. Yeah, Mile High. All right, that's it. So we will
Nice.
head on out, so like I said, look for this over on Algo's channel, and I'll take us out with some music, and then we will head on out. I appreciate your the opportunity to come on and visit with you and meet your great people. I've been keeping an eye on the chat. I haven't been able to, I can't, talk and chat at the same time. So,
Sure.
all right.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Take care, brother.
All right, bro. We'll talk to you soon, eh?